My eyes are getting older. Okay, chapter 3 is about building character. And in this chapter, you will learn what or why character is important. You will learn how to recognize character. You will learn what values are and how they are put into action. And you'll also learn what it means to be a responsible citizen. The vocabulary words that you need to look up are character, citizen, citizenship, ethical principles, responsibility, universal values, and values. And these are all found within the chapter in the dark bold print. Okay, it starts out with saying, imagine that you are a role model for several younger children. They see you as someone they'd want to be like when they get older. They watch you closely and follow your example. They imitate your behavior, your language, and even the way you dress. So think about this. Did you think the children's choices of you as a role model is a positive one? Do you think they are positive? Why or why not? What aspects of your behavior, language, and dress are you most proud of? Which aspects are you least proud of? And then also think about who were your role models when you were younger? Who are your role models now? In what ways have you been influenced by their example? And I will tell you one of my role models was Michael Jordan when I was in high school. I became extremely competitive starting in my high school days by watching someone who was just an athlete that was very competitive and worked very hard. The work ethics that Michael Jordan put out when he was playing for the Chicago Bulls, it just really impressed me. Okay, so you might be asking, what is character? So here's the paragraph that explains that. Picture yourself as that role model for your young children. Would your behavior show your true character? Calling someone a person of character may be the biggest compliment you can pay him or her. Character is a combination of traits that show strong ethical principles and maturity. So a combination of traits, like your personality traits, that show ethical principles and maturity. So your actions, your traits, your attitudes, your habits, those all become part of character. So ethical principles are standards for right and wrong behavior. And in the last chapter, we talked about moral development. And moral development, I would say, goes into ethical principles. It's like the standards for right and wrong behavior. Morals are basically the guidelines that you follow for right and wrong behavior. So very similar to ethical principles. Your character shows in both your public and private behavior. You become a role model for people, both younger and older, to look up to. Character gives you the strength and courage to do the right thing every day. That in turn makes you feel confident and at peace with yourself. Values to guide you. So I want you to write down in your notes the word values and box it in or underline it. And you should have already looked up character, ethical principles, and values on your notes. Okay, the book says the foundation of your character is based on a set of values. Your values are the beliefs and ideas that help guide the way you live. So think of your house is built on a foundation. It's a very strong foundation, whether it be concrete or brick blocks. That's a foundation, and it has to be strong, the base of it, or it can't hold the walls or the interior walls or anything else, the roof. So your foundation has to be strong. Your base has to be strong with a set of values. So values, once again, are beliefs and ideas that help guide the way you live. For example, taking time to visit and comfort a friend whose pet has died shows the value of compassion. So underneath the word values, write the word compassion. You use values to guide the choices you make every day. Your values are reflected in your actions. For example, you show honesty when you don't shoplift. So honesty, I want you to write that down under values. So if I walk into Walgreens and I get what I need, chips and a pop and candy, and then I walk up to the checkout, I pay the whatever, $5 or whatever it might be, and then I walk out with the stuff that I paid for, I'm showing honesty. Every single time I go to any store, I'm showing honesty without thinking about it. So it's a value that I learned when I was very young, that you pay for things because that's honesty. The value will guide you the value will guide your actions even when money is limited or peer pressure to steal is strong. Values also show in what you say and how you say it. You display courtesy when you speak kindly and respectfully to others. In addition, I just lost my spot. Oh no. Values also show in what you do or say. Okay. You display courtesy, so write down courtesy. You display courtesy when you speak kindly and respectfully to others. In addition, values can be seen in how you spend money. Buying a gift instead of a new CD for yourself displays caring. So I want you to write down caring. So far you should have compassion, honesty, courtesy, caring. These are all values that are learned. You postpone what you want to boost someone else's happiness when you're caring. Finally, your values show in what you're willing to stand up for. A person who risks criticism from others to stand up for a principle sends a loud and clear message about integrity. So go ahead and write down the word integrity. Think carefully about what your values are and how they influence your behavior in a positive way. Okay, and I already mentioned a little bit about learned values. So learned values. You learn values at home from your family through what they teach you and the examples they set. For instance, Kevin's mom donates some time on the weekends to a neighborhood cleanup project. She shows Kevin that concern for the community is an important value. So go ahead and write concern down. Throughout life, you may also acquire values from other sources. Schools and places of worship teach values. So can friends, books, and TV. And I also added the internet. What values might a person learn from these sources? Which are most likely to be sources of values that keep the best interests of yourself and others in mind? And in class, we were talking about like some of the cartoons that you might have watched when you were younger. You may have learned values from that. Okay. Next page talks about shared values. Look around and you'll see that people's values often vary. However, people of all cultures share some common values. Values that are generally accepted and shared worldwide are sometimes called universal values. So the key to this vocabulary word, universal values, because of the word universal, it means to me that it's worldwide. So all over the world, people accept these values. So universal values. They are the glue that makes positive and peaceful interaction among people possible. So think if you visit another country, are you using these shared values? Do they use these shared values? So here are some universal values: courage, fairness, freedom, honesty, respect, responsibility, trustworthiness. So I want you to write all those down under values. And you can kind of, you could circle that section or box in that section, and you can write the word universal values there if you want to. Although these values are held around the world, people place different values of importance on them. Even among your own friends, you may share similar values but express them differently. For example, Barbara places high importance on respect. Her friends often confide in her because they know she'll listen and show respect without making judgments. Maria thinks honesty, so write down honesty if you don't have it, which I think you might have that already. Maria thinks honesty is the most important, even when sharing her opinions leads to debate and disagreements with others. What are your most important values? I want you to think about as we go through this chapter this week. So, a review of what we were talking about today. What kind of role model are you? Was the first questions that I was asking. Who were your role models as you grew up? So, I want you to think about those as we go through this chapter. I asked, what is character? We said that was character is a combination of traits that show strong ethical principles and maturity. Another vocabulary word we had was ethical principles. They're standards for right and wrong behavior. We talked about values because this is a lot of what this chapter is about. That goes into making the character you are, a strong character. Your values are the beliefs and ideas that help guide the way you live. We talked about learned values, where you have learned these values from. So, your family, your friends, could be books, friends, TV, and I also added the internet on there. And then the last thing we talked about was universal values, which are commonly accepted values that are worldwide. And the list of those were courage, fairness, freedom, honesty, respect, responsibility, and trustworthiness. And that is the end of this lesson for today.